Hello, viewers, and welcome to Aussiewood HardTalk, powered by Koollife TV. My name is Victoria Mayuen, your host. Today, with me in the studio, I have a very special guest. She is a mental health specialist, workplace cultural strategist, and a community leader whose work continues to impact lives and organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mabel Abatania to the show.
Exclusive at KoollifeTV.com.
Hi, Mabel. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you, Victoria. Thank you for having me on the pod today.
Welcome to the show. Please kindly introduce yourself and tell our audience more about yourself.
So, my name is Mabel, and I grew up between Ghana, West Africa, and Perth, Western Australia. I moved to Australia when I was a teenager, kicking and screaming with my family, and I did part of my high school here and went on to complete my bachelor's and master's in mental health nursing. I worked clinically for many years before taking a bold move, taking a risk, and building Mabatan Consulting, where I help organizations to build safe workplaces and safe work cultures.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing. That's very inspiring. So, which would lead me to the next question. So, Mabel, your work focuses on uncovering hidden cultural issue in workplaces. What motivated you to step into the space of psychological safety and trauma-informed practices?
Part of it was lived experience. So, having worked throughout my studies and then working clinically as a professional, I worked in a lot of workplaces, some of which were lovely, some of which were quite toxic as well. So that lived experience was a huge driving force. Part of it was also my deep belief in the goodness of humanity and believing that there's so much good that we can do in the world. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that still need to be changed, and I strongly believe that we have to be part of the solution that we want to see in the world.
Awesome. Yeah, so as a woman of color working within the health system, what unique challenges have you witnessed both for yourself and for other women when it comes to being seen, heard, and valued?
One thing that was painfully obvious to myself and to my colleagues in the workplace who are also women of color is opportunities for career progression were quite limited. And it's difficult in a system that was historically built to exclude you, all right? Because some people might say, oh, you're reading too much into that situation, or you're overthinking it. But that is literally how the system was built. So it's not far-fetched that career progression for women of color, even in the healthcare sector that is female dominated, there are still ongoing barriers that affect women of color.
Yeah. Okay. Which will lead me to the next question. So this year, International Women's Day theme is balance the scale. What does balancing the scale look like for you or other women of color in professional spaces, especially in the health care and community services sector?
Ooh, balancing the scales. So this actually goes back to what I said before of, the system was built to disadvantage us, and we would be naive to think that in 2026 we've come so far in the world that all these problems or all these issues have just disappeared. They haven't. And unfortunately, the scales are still tipped against us. So what this means for me in this year for International Women's Day is evening out the playing field for women of color, having more visibility for women of color, but not just visibility in terms of being in the room. It's having equal access to the opportunities that are available as well. Because often we get left behind in the conversation around gender equality as women of color.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So you've worked you worked in emergency and acute mental health setting. How did those experiences shape your understanding of resilience, trauma, and the reality of people, the reality that people face behind closed doors?
That's a great question. So I always say that in mental health, you're really seeing people at some of their lowest times when they're feeling the worst about themselves and maybe even about the world. So you're seeing people most of the time at their very worst. And when people are mentally unwell, a lot of the time, all those, negative behaviors are amplified for various reasons, and, depending on the diagnosis and a whole host of other things. So what this taught me is to self-reflect a lot and care for myself deeply. Because when you're dealing with the worst behaviors of people, sometimes it's not personal, but sometimes we do, I used to experience, racist comments towards myself or towards my colleagues, or maybe not even directed at anyone in particular. But these are some of the things that healthcare practitioners experience, healthcare practitioners of color experience in the workplace, in the mental health setting. So for me, the key thing was looking after myself first, so I can show up for my clients and my patients in a way that allows me to see their humanity even when they didn't see mine.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. A lot of women of color in that sector, experience like racism is something that's really common, harsh words, negative word, but you still choose humanity to continue to serve and look after that patient. Yeah, thank you. So Mabel, let's now go back to your early years of your childhood. How did those experiences influence the woman and the leader that you've become today?
Great question. When I moved here with my family, I wasn't given a choice. Now, that's a whole nother conversation, which we don't have time for today. But I had no other choice but to adapt. And regardless of the ethics of that, it did force me to be resilient in a way. But also, once having arrived in Australia, there was then this culture shock to an extent, but also the reality of walking in two worlds. When you're at home, you're surrounded by family and by culture, but then when you walk out of the home, sometimes a lot of the things that you're being taught at home are being contradicted out in the real world, right? So I was, again, in a way, forced to reckon with that and think about how to make sense of this situation that I was now in, right? Where I was being told one thing at home and then I was being told another thing by society.
Yeah.
Right. So my way of doing that was to go inwards,
Yeah.
look inwards.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of reflecting, and I did a lot of listening, and a lot of watching what was going on
Yeah.
both ends. And I eventually learned to make sense of it in a way that worked for me.
Yeah.
So it was taking the best of everything that was
Yeah.
being given to me
Yeah.
and leaving the rest.
Yeah, definitely amazing. Which takes a lot of courage.
Yes.
You know. Thank you for sharing. Mabel, we're going to go on a short break.
Yeah.
Hello, viewers. We're going to go on a short break and we'll be right back. Thank you. So, yeah.
Are you ready to learn, grow, and get certified? Welcome to Koollife Community Support, where your success starts today. We offer private tutoring for kids and adults in math, science, music, and piano lessons. Get your NDIS module certificate, manual handling, and medication competency with same-day certification available. We also provide aged care and disability support training.
Are you ready to learn, grow, and get certified? Welcome to Koollife Community Support, where your success starts today. We offer private tutoring for kids and adults in math, science, music, and piano lessons. Get your NDIS module certificate, manual handling, and medication competency with same-day certification.
Contact us today on WhatsApp 014 5570 118 or visit KoollifeCommunitySupport.org. Koollife Community Support. We stand together. We thrive.
Exclusive at KoollifeTV.com.
Hello, viewers. Welcome back to the show as we continue our conversation with Mabel. Mabel, welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah. So your journey to Australia is significantly part of your story. What was that transition like, and how did it shape your identity, purpose, and sense of belonging today?
Ooh, that last one, sense of belonging, was a big one for me because in my introduction, when I said I was brought here kicking and screaming, it was a little bit of an exaggeration, but inside it felt like that. I didn't want to leave all my friends back in Ghana when I moved here, and then I got here and I had to make new friends, which was really tough. But I really liked the school that I went to, and I managed to make some really good friends in some of my classes, and that really helped me to find a place in a way for myself in the world at that point in time. So my friends were really instrumental in helping me start to settle into life here and start to see this as, like not a punishment or not something bad, but start to embrace life here.
Yeah, awesome. Did you have any relative or someone that you've known from back home here?
No.
Yeah.
So when we first moved here, we didn't know anyone from Ghana here, and so over the years we got connected in with other people from Ghana, which helped to build that sense of community as well, and to keep us a little bit connected with our culture.
Yeah.
But at home as well, we ate a lot of Ghanaian food. Still had some clothes that were made in Ghana that I brought over. So all of those little things helped to keep me anchored to my culture while I was trying to discover who I was.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, teenage times are tricky anyway for any
Regardless,
kid.
yeah.
Regardless. So when you add in that move, it just amplified everything. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I can relate. I came here as a teenager as well.
Yes.
mental health stigma remain strong in many multicultural communities, especially within the African families. What pattern have you observed, and how do you approach breaking that stigma in culturally safer way?
One thing that I've noticed is a sort of freezing of time. So, and this isn't particular to people migrating from African countries, by the way, but there is this phenomenon of when you move from one society to another, like into a new culture, there's this sense of cultural freezing for the person. So the culture, the way that you left it, continues to evolve and change over time. But when you leave, you take the culture that was there with you, and because you're no longer in that culture, time sort of stands still in terms of those cultural practices and thoughts. What I do know is in most African countries, and I'll speak for Ghana specifically, that the stigma around mental health has been an ongoing topic of conversation, and the mindset has been changing over time. Now you gotta remember, I've been here for over a decade now, so in that time, people are speaking more openly about mental health. But for our parents and grandparents who moved here, for them time might have stood still, and they might still have some of those unhelpful thoughts around mental health. So that is one of the big challenges that I see, that Black people don't get depressed, we don't have anxiety, and that's a white people thing. But that's not the case.
True.
Mental health affects everyone. Mental health is for everyone. Well, I'll say mental illness can affect anyone.
Yeah, it doesn't discriminate.
It really does not discriminate.
Yes, thank you. So, Mabel, you support organization to build inclusive, psychological, safe environment. What is the one major misconception leaders often have about inclusion or mental health at work?
That it's too risky to deal with mental health issues or deal proactively with inclusion matters. It actually isn't that hard, so to speak.
Which is where
I come in. Yeah. So it's really all about being willing to confront things head on, because we know that, and research has told us this over and over again, that when we do invest in actual inclusion and proactive mental health practices, the dividends, like, it pays dividends in the long run. In the long run, we actually build healthier, better, safer workplaces, and that also leads to more productivity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, Mabel, you are deeply involved in community leadership. How does your community work influence your professional practice, especially when supporting diverse or marginalized groups?
My active involvement in the community and with cultural practices allows me to translate that into the workplace practices. So it allows me to support leaders in understanding their workforce, especially a workforce that is diverse, right? Because when we show up to work, it's not like we are putting on a different personality to go to work. Everyone comes to work, with a whole history behind us, which is cultural, mental health, wellness. All of those things contribute to how we show up in the workplace every day. So being so close to the community and being so actively involved, it actually allows me a glimpse, well, more than a glimpse actually, it allows me to be immersed in the culture, so I can more effectively create solutions that are inclusive and that create safe spaces for everyone.
Yeah, amazing. Mabel, so many women carry silent battles. Would you be able to open up and share a moment of your own mental health journey, and what helped you navigate or overcome it?
Ooh. There are a few actually. I'll tell you about my earliest one actually, which was when I was doing my undergrad, my bachelor's degree. I had failed an assignment and it rocked me completely, because I had grown up with this idea that we don't fail. Failure isn't an option. In anything that we do, there's this expectation of, if you're going to do something, you do it well or you don't do it at all, which is toxic in a way.
Yeah.
But I failed this one assessment and I completely freaked out and I thought it was the end of the world. And I ended up going to the university psychologist and having a conversation about this. And when I walked out, I just remember the problem not feeling so big anymore, because it allowed me the space to process how I was feeling, all my thoughts about it, and actually start to break down some of the harmful misconceptions or patterns that I had.
So what do you have to say today to a student that's in similar situation?
Take advantage of the free resources offered by your university or your school. Honestly, I cannot recommend this enough. And look, sometimes it can be really daunting, especially when there's this, negative stereotype of, oh, if you go to seek counseling or mental health services, then it means you're crazy. It doesn't mean you're crazy. Just like you might take a Panadol when you have a headache to help you, or you take insulin if you have diabetes, or you take your heart pills if you have a heart condition. Mental health services serve the same purpose. It's there to help and support you through a tough time.
What message do you want to leave with women here in Australia or around the world, especially women of color who are trying to balance expectation, identity, careers, and well-being?
Thanks for that question. To you out there, you woman, you are enough and you are worthy, and I want you to remember that. I need you to remember that and remind yourself every day. The world is your oyster. The world is our oyster. The world doesn't exist without women. And it's time that we stepped into our power and we actually acted like it. Now, some of us experience things like domestic violence, workplace harassment, workplace issues. There's all family burdens. Well, not burdens, but a lot of family expectations. And sometimes it's okay to say no to everything out there and say yes to yourself. It's time to center our own well-being first. Because you know what? You can't be there for everyone else when your cup is empty. It's time to fill up our own cups. So, even all those things that we want to be doing for everyone and everything, we're much better and we show up much better when we are replenished.
Thank you, Mabel, for being here today. It has been a very powerful, insightful conversation.
Thank you.
And we look forward to having you again in the future. Hello, viewers. We've come to the end of our show. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe to our channel. My name is Victoria Mayuen, your host. Bye for now.